Well, thank you guys so much. The paddle raise is just the perfect way to end the night of getting you all involved if you hadn't found the auction item you wanted. It's just been incredible watching all the generosity here tonight. So I know everyone came from all over, but I know we have a lot of Badger fans in here. I wore my Badger dress. I knew that was appropriate here. So I have a pretty cool person to introduce. We know that Coach Bo Ryan is here, 2024 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame inductee. He's got the ring to prove it, too. So if you make your way to Bo tonight, go see that ring. There it is, Coach. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Lepay, radio play-by-play announcer for the University of Wisconsin men's basketball, men's football. He is the voice of the Badgers since 1994. Matt, that is aging you quite a bit, my friend. In 2024, Lepay was inducted into the Wisconsin Broadcasters Hall of Fame. That's an honor bestowed upon individuals who've devoted a minimum of 25 years to the Wisconsin broadcasting industry, making significant contributions to their stations, communities, and the state. Lepay was also inducted in the University of Wisconsin Athletics Hall of Fame this year, recognizing his exceptional contribution to Wisconsin athletics. He's synonymous with Badger sports. It's an honor to invite up Matt Lepay as he brings up some special guests as well. Matt, take it away.
Thank you. Good to be here. We'll get the microphones up here for the guys in a moment, but I would tell you that, seeing the picture of Jay Holiday, that brings back a lot of memories for even me as a broadcaster, because one of the fun aspects about being around Bo, besides the fact that they won a ton of games, is anytime we would go to Pennsylvania, if it was State College, or into Philadelphia, where they played Temple a time or two, played Penn at the Palestra, all his guys, Jay and Herb Kemp and all of his buddies from back home would get together with them, and occasionally they would come to Madison as well. And those were always the best coaches shows with Bo that we would do, these radio shows, when we would get some of his old guys on there, Jay and Herb and those guys. If you were looking for a deep dive into what the Badgers were going to try to do to beat Minnesota, you weren't going to get it that night, but you were going to be entertained as much as you could possibly imagine on a coach's show. So it brought a smile to my face to see Jay, because he was a great man, and Bo is a great man, and Kelly. I can't say enough about what you have done in this fight. You're a winner, both of you are, so it's a pretty good group to be behind as we continue the fight to beat cancer. We've had a lot of very heartwarming stories, and we're going to have some more as we'll let you know how some of these guys have been touched by cancer, but we're going to have a little fun as well, because all of them, well, almost all of them, are in the media world now. One probably will be, if he wants to be, once his basketball career ends. But let's bring them up right now. I guess in the order in which they played, we'll go back a quarter century or so. A guy who knows all about going to a Final Four, knows all about winning Big Ten championships. One tough dude on the basketball court, and a great guy as well. Number 40 as a Badger, Charlie Wills. Our next panelist knows a bit about winning Big Ten championships as well. Game-winning free throw to beat Illinois, among his many, many highlights in helping the Badgers achieve great success. Number 34, Devin Harris. Up next, he too knows about winning Big Ten championships and making deep tournament runs, and hit the sloppiest, most beautiful bank shot ever at Indiana to beat the Hoosiers. The polar bear, number 32, Brian Butch. This next guy would go on these heaters, as we say now, these scoring sprees. Just ask Ohio State when they came to town undefeated and left with a loss. One of the all-time greats, number 11, Jordan Taylor. Among other things, our next panelist is a prolific three-point shooter. Matter of fact, back in the Big Ten tournament, I had a chance to talk with John Beilein, the former head coach of Michigan. He's still mad that Karis LeVert didn't foul this guy before he had a half-court shot to force overtime against Michigan. One of his many, many memorable shots. Number 1, Ben Brust. And finally, I'll never forget as a freshman when he came off the bench at the Kohl Center, there was just a little extra buzz because they knew all about him. He had this thing about making really big shots going back to his high school days at the Kohl Center, and talk about a heater and the Badgers' trip into back-to-back Final Fours, but most notably to the national championship game. This guy was absolutely on fire. Again, one of the all-time greats, still going professionally. Number 15 as a Badger, Sam Dekker. We'll do it this way. We in a moment we're going to get into, like, when Bo and I talked a few months ago now. He said, we got to get into these guys who have gotten in the media, former Badgers, because we used to have, every now and then, Bo and I would have these chats about, we need some more former Badger players in the media, at the Big Ten Network, at Fox. We got too many other schools represented. And I think that has been corrected to a large extent. Before we get into that, though, we have heard many stories, and almost everybody in this room was standing when we were asked, have you been personally, have you fought it yourself, someone in your family? I know our entire table did. So I guess we'll go down the row. I guess, Charlie, we'll start with you and just take it down the row here about how all of you guys have been touched by cancer.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know if you can hear me on this thing. My good buddy Jason, he's actually here tonight, joined us at the table. I think this is how old I am. I think it was 30. I got the phone call. I have cancer. And I think I almost drove off the road because it was one of those moments that you didn't really think of that when you're 30 years old. You're pretty invincible still. So I think that was a huge impact on me in being involved. I then, later down the road, actually got to be with Amy and some of the staff here to be on the board and be able to serve. So that was my connection and my first experience with cancer, and obviously there's been many others since then.
Go ahead, Dev.
My connection was fairly early on. One of my best friends in middle school got the call in 7th grade, and I think when you're that young, you really don't fully understand what that looks like. And his name was Andrew Cook, and obviously having to leave school to fight this fight, the one to say that the biggest thing I took from it was it never changed his attitude. This kid was fighting for his life. Every day was better than the next, and he took it so head on. And he's had a couple surgeries since then, but just the outlook that he has on life is so strong. It still affects me to this day. And one of the main things, he kept his faith, and it increased every time he was dealt a bad hand. His faith just got stronger and stronger, and it was something that was really amazing to watch. And he just had his first kid, I want to say 2 years ago, and the life that he's lived since this 7th grade moment, it could affect him in so many different ways, but he used it as such a positive outlook that it's amazing to watch him just grow in that moment.
First of all, is Andy still here? Yeah. Andy, thank you. 2 years ago, our son was here. And most of you probably had a chance to see him. Matt knows this because last Monday he was at an event for a Children's Hospital event to raise money for Children's Hospital, and I was fundraising money for it, and I had to get out of there by 4 because I had a phone call with our doctors. And I shared this on the radio, so this is what it is. But our now 5-year-old just had his birthday. And a week later, we had to tell him, we had to take the news that his cancer's back, his brain tumor's back, and we need to have surgery in August. And we've talked. And I will talk to you in the next couple of weeks. So thank you. You just want to keep your kids safe. That's it. When you can't do it, it's terrible. I've not told my wife this. I've not told anybody this. And since she's not here, I will say it. I'm scared. I drive a lot, and there's windshield time, and that's about the only thing that helps me. But in August, the 5-year-old will be strong again. We haven't told him yet because we want him to have a summer. We want him to just not have to be and worry about it. But that 3-year-old little boy that was on here giving everyone laughs, he's 5. We're lucky enough that he's done it. Now we're going to attack what's next with him. So that's my story. And I don't know what's ahead. But I know one thing, we're going to give him every opportunity to do what he has to do. And because of the research, I feel like we're continuing to go in the right direction. And I feel like we've got some really good answers for him. His first brain surgery when he was 2 was a laser ablation, which they went into his skull and tried to burn the tumor. They didn't get all of it. That's why it's now growing back. We knew what we were trying to do. As parents, we had to make a decision. I don't know if we made the right decision or not. I asked myself that a lot. Would I change it? No, because that's what we did. We did everything that we thought we could for him. Now he's got this ahead of him. But it's one of those things that this is what we're here for. If you can buy time, that's all anyone wants. What's the most precious thing in this world? There's a lot of success here. There's a lot of money in this room. We can't buy time. We're trying. We're trying. And money here is raised is going to hopefully buy time for new developments, for new careers, for ways to be able to give people time. That's where that's mine. Like I said, I talked 2 years ago here. But Andy, I'm thinking of you guys. I heard you talk, and I had to put my head down because I can't cross that bridge right now of having those conversations because we haven't had those conversations with little man yet. We as parents decided we'll address that in August. We'll let him have a summer because we're fortunate to be able to let him have a summer. So I just appreciate you telling your story. It's not easy. So thank you. And thank you to everybody that told your story. It helps get through all of this. So that's my story with our son Blake. And then when I played, my mom had breast cancer. So it's in our family, but it's a little bit different when you're a parent. It's just hits a little different. So I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you.
My story is, speaking of time, all the guys overseas understand the time you get at home in the summers is very precious. You get 2 months maybe. You can spend time with your family. So my story started about a month before I had to go back overseas and then my time at home. And I found out my mom had uterine cancer. And it's probably one of the most gut-wrenching feelings. You look forward to a couple days when you're an overseas player, probably for the 4th of July and Christmas, right? Christmas kind of goes away because you don't get to see your family, so it's really just the 4th of July. So I found out a couple days after that my mom had uterine cancer, which was gut-wrenching. I had to go overseas maybe, a couple weeks later, and one of the best feelings for me was fortunately I had a Serbian coach, and again, if anybody knows Serbian coaches, they don't play around. Coach Ryan knows, he spent some time over there. So it's basketball, it's nothing else, right? So my Serbian coach kind of let me know that I would have 2 days to go. My mom had a big appointment to find out, get some diagnosis and get some tests back. And my Serbian coach was like, you get 2 days at home, and I was kind of crushed. I wasn't feeling it. As much as I love the game, obviously, like we just heard, the one thing you can't get back is time with family. So one of the best memories and feelings of my life, the team owner at the time was Tony Parker, and he kind of stepped in, and he had more of a Western Western feel, and he overrode the coach's decision. I got to go home for 3 weeks, spend time with my mom, and by the grace of God, found out that in a short amount of time, thankfully, that she was going to be able to get surgery and be all right. I got home later that year and found out my dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and again, by the grace of God, was able to have surgery and is cured and healthy. And one thing that I always love and respect about my parents is they took the time to always, show gratitude. And, again, playing overseas, that's not always where you want to be, right? Most of us want to be in the NBA, but that was a big learning lesson for me, to show gratitude, be gracious for everything and every moment, every minute that you get here with your people, your family. So that's my story.
Yeah, I mean, they're all pretty vivid to everyone, but I remember especially the time that you have at home when you're in college. You have summer school and all your summer workouts, and I came back after my going into my senior year in 2014. It was the fall of 13. I graduated in 14. I was home with my family, and just was a normal dinner, and then my dad let us know that he had prostate cancer, and it just was a weird feeling because you feel like when we were in college, you got it all, right? You're playing basketball, you have a great life, you're traveling on these planes, you think you're untouchable, right? And it was a moment of like, that was my hero. My dad still is my hero. Obviously, as Jordan mentioned, he had a robotic surgery, which had a high success rate. But that moment when you look at the person who you were in the car with as a kid, driving you to everything, hearing him on phone calls and understanding why he's on the phone, he was doing it to provide that living and giving me opportunities so I could do what I got to do at the University of Wisconsin. So it was one of those things where I remember actually that was in August, and very, very quickly, it was a week after, I went out to Philadelphia. Flew out with Frank Kaminsky, Josh Gosser, Bo Ryan, and Coach Gard to surprise Bo Ryan at Butch's funeral. And I remember when I got back, I got a FaceTime. My dad was in surgery that Saturday. On Sunday, got a FaceTime, got to talk to my dad, shaved every day. Finally saw him with a beard. It was one of the more vivid moments of my life, seeing my dad with a beard. But just thinking of all the sacrifices your parents make, and it hurts to see, and just every story hits everyone different. And I don't even like talking right now about my story because the stories that we've heard today are so deep, and just hearing Brian right there and all the stories earlier. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback off what Ben said, it's hard. You never want to compare things, and I think it's a great feeling to know that we're all in here together, supporting each other, and that's a special thing. We were on teams together, or watched you guys when I was growing up, wanting to be a Badger, and I think that's what's so unique about Wisconsin sports and the state of Wisconsin as a whole is we are such a big team, and you see how passionate we all are about each other, and that's amazing, whether it's sports or in life. We're just so passionate about each other here, and that's pretty rare. And I think we can all say how proud we are to be from this place and be surrounded by people like this every day. And we felt that from you guys, and I hope you feel that from us. I was in 6th grade. It was my first idea that death can happen, right? That's the weirdest thing as a kid growing up. My godmother and aunt, one of my closest relatives, she was my biggest supporter at every game of mine. She died of cancer, and it was the weirdest thing for me as a kid trying to process that, it can all be gone like that. And from that on, I wrote her name on my shoes, and if you look through when I played here, she was on my shoes. I always asked Nike to put her name on my shoes growing up, and then me and my wife became passionate about cancer events in the state and meeting kids with pediatric cancer, and we met this boy named Kyle, who's a big fan of mine, and I saw him one year, and the next year at this cancer event we had, he wasn't there, and I saw his dad, and I said, where's Kyle? And he passed away, but he wanted me to know that he got buried with my jersey. And those are things that hit you hard. So that kind of goes back to the team aspect, right? And we're all in this together. And thank you for sharing your stories. It hits home to us, hits home to all of us. Brian, thank you for sharing that. And it's amazing that we're able to be here together and do this together.
I do think an inspiring part of this is we've heard the word team a lot. Sam has mentioned it. Merrill mentioned it. I mean, basketball as a team, obviously, we've seen great teams here. Merrill Hodge has been a part of great teams in his career, but as he said so well, I like our chances with this team in this room to continue the fight, the money we raise, the incredible work that is being done by our brilliant doctors here in Madison and throughout the state of Wisconsin. We keep fighting the fight. And I said, Bo's teams don't lose, and he ain't gonna start losing now. So thanks to all of you for being here. And with that, let's transfer a little awkwardly, but we do want to have a little bit of fun here tonight as when Coach Ryan reached out said a few months ago about, guys in the media. And by the way, Sam, did I make a right assumption? Like when the career, it's kind of in the family now, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, Olivia and
Yes.
my father-in-law and all you guys. So I'm proud of them. I'll let them have it for a while.
For the 2 or 3 of you who don't know, his father-in-law is Kevin Harlan. He's pretty good. Called a big shot of his, actually, in L.A. in the regional final against Arizona. So, to any one of you, I know, Charlie, you've got a day job, but you've done some work on television. You work with me. Sorry to say, for your sake, that you're stuck with me a handful of times. But when did the broadcasting bug hit you guys? Whoever wants to jump in. When did you think that getting into sports media was something that would interest you post-playing career? Somebody, anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to start? All right. Well, for me, I just got an opportunity. It was public broadcasting with WPTV. I think that got the bug. It goes back to the team thing. We got to watch. Well, I loved watching film. So film, breaking down film, being ready for the game. It was the only way that a knucklehead from Indiana can actually compete in the Big Ten. So I had to know the game better that way. I'm not physically talented like these guys. So what happened with being able to work with Matt on the radio was that same passion. Like, I got to break film down. I got to watch it. I got to know the tendencies, and it felt like I was back in the game. And so for me, that's what it's like. You get to watch these new athletes create new experiences, and you get to have fun telling your story and giving your examples of why that matters for the game.
When you're overseas, you got a lot of time to think. I can tell you that much. You hear yourself think against the walls, especially when you go from playing in the Final Four in Dallas in front of 80,000 people to a 5,000 people village where no one spoke English.
Ben used to call me from, what was it, Lithuania?
Oh, man.
Yeah, he used to call
Saw me at my lowest.
He was my sous chef over Zoom.
That was prison, Ben. I got jacked. And so I just started thinking, like, is this what I want to do with my life? And I'm limited. I'm 6'2", not overly athletic. It would have been a grind to make it to where I wanted to be overseas. So I made a business decision to start my life back in America. But I remember sitting and hearing myself think. I grew up in the Chicagoland area listening to ESPN 1000. And Waddle and Sylvie was the show I listened to. Tom Waddle, again, I don't even associate myself with the Bears or Chicago anymore. I live here. I love Wisconsin. I love all things Wisconsin. But these are my roots. Tom Waddle played for the Bears, not for the 85 Bears. He was just a guy, solid football player. He told a story, and it's never the sports stuff. It's always the entertainment stuff that caught my attention. I love the entertainment aspect. I love the idea in audio and radio that when you are live on that microphone, you have an opportunity to engage somebody and make their day a little bit better. And so when I was thinking about overseas, I was thinking about the stories that they would tell and how they were. Why was I thinking about listening to the radio and the "Where were you when" moments about ESPN 1000? It's because Tom Waddle, the story that came up at home when I was taking the dogs out, was Tom Waddle told a story. He was like, I take the dogs out at night. It's just me in my backyard. I just decided to take a leak. And I found myself thinking when I took my dogs out last week, I was like, should I take a leak? And so, like, I just love that, like, those stories. Like, I did. I took a leak. I was like, dogs are peeing. I took a leak. Stop it.
Like, that's how you got into radio?
Decided you needed to take a leak? Stories that entertain, yes.
That's the skill.
Captivating. He captivated the audience, and it stuck with me to today.
That was a lot
I'd like to think
of
I
time
provide
alone.
more value, but yeah, that's how I got here.
Jordan, you want to top that?
Yeah, Ben's weird, man. My dog, though. Broadcasting for me was just as much a part of the game as the players were. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Sam knows this, and people that are from Minneapolis may know, but Olivia's dad was the Timberwolves broadcaster. So I grew up listening to Kevin Harlan, and he coined the term the big ticket. So, and I grew up watching Bob Costas and NBA on NBC and all the yes and all the Marv Albert and all that, right? So Olivia's dad had a thing, he'd say Tom Gugliotta would make a big play and he'd googly, oogly, oogly. And so for me, I don't know if anybody's ever watched a basketball game or a football game without the broadcast, when the sound goes out, and it's just not the same. It's actually terrible. I sometimes turn it off, right? Because, again, the broadcasters make the game just as much as the players do. Every single iconic moment. Again, you think of Bob Costas when Michael Jordan pushed off and, it was at the last time we ever saw, all that stuff. So for me, that stuff goes back to when I was 5 years old. I used to commentate my own video games. My cousins used to make fun of me vividly. A lot. I thought I was a huge nerd.
That's awesome.
So Jordan, how'd that go? Jordan Taylor describing Jordan Taylor. What a great shot by Jordan Taylor. Unbelievable.
I did. I used to go to the gym and I would play against myself side to side and commentate. And I used to be Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and Dennis Rodman. So I was the full team and I would commentate myself. So anyway, long story short, that's what it is. I know there's probably a bunch of Packer fans in here. I can think of countless times when the Vikings lost to the Cardinals. And I think they gave somebody a key to the city in Green Bay or something like that. But Paul Allen, just the legendary commentators, Matt Lepay, listening back. So I think just paying homage to Merrill Hodge. I used to watch you growing up on ESPN in front of the big screen. So, just paying homage to the people that make the game special beyond the players is what broadcasting is, and bringing the game to life. And I think, again, that's part of the team of sports and what makes it also special.
Next question, Butchie and Devin, I'll throw this your way, because Charlie talked about loving to look at film and as a player. Do you now in your roles, Brian with BTN, Fox, and then working with me, Dev, with the Mavericks, do you look at the game differently now as broadcasters than you did as players?
I think you kind of have to. You have to kind of switch your brain from, as a player, you're studying player tendencies. And now as a broadcaster, you're analyzing it from a different lens. Now, what makes it special is that you can contribute because you know those player tendencies, but now that you're watching, it's your job to kind of tell that story and why the things happen. And you're looking 2-3 plays before, watching the plays and how they're run, knowing the coaching's philosophy, all that plays into it. But as I'm watching the game, sometimes I watch it just silently to watch what's going on in the court. And as I'm still learning as a broadcaster, I like to watch and learn from the guys that are doing the game. And I watch it 2 and 3 times over from a different perspective to help me better do my job. And I feel like my job as a player, playing the way that I did, I can sort of teach the people out there how I see the game, and hopefully they can learn something from that aspect of it.
Yeah, there's no question. The why I got into broadcasting first, I coached 2 years in the G League and said, nope, I'm good. We'll get out of that in life, and we'll try something new. And now that 2 years of coaching, though, helped me be a better analyst because I saw it through a coach's lens. As a player, you see it through a player's lens, and you think you've got all the answers, and when you really realize it, you don't have any of the answers. You think you do, and then you'll sit through a Bo Ryan film session, and you'll realize you have no clue what you're doing. So then, like, that helps a little bit. But as a coach, you get to see that same film through the eyes that coach did, and it was like, whoa, all right, I need to make sure that we clean this up. For 2 years I did that, and I realized, there was so much film that I was watching as a coach. I was like, I can't be the dad I want to be or the husband I want to be because it's just so much time. And if I'm going to go into coaching, that's all I'm going to do. There was a night I woke up, I took a Sharpie, started writing on our closet door in my sleep, and my wife told me the next day, she goes, "Do you realize you were up writing plays on the closet door?" I said, all right, maybe I'm too into this. Maybe this isn't healthy for me. So that was when I was like, okay, let's step back. Let's look at it. I always say this, and it's one of the things that we have a lot of conversations about when we're calling games. Explain the why. Why did the play happen? Why is so-and-so going off right now? Why are the Badgers scoring more this year? Well, a lot of it's the rule changes. Yes, it's no different than when Bo was there. Greg's changed a couple of things, but it was get to the paint, get to the free throw line, and shoot threes. The same concept. The game's just faster now. The rules have changed now. You have to explain that to the audience. When you look at what they've done in college basketball, you can't take a charge anymore. It's just out of the game. They've changed the rules, you can't do it. So those sorts of things need to be relayed to the audience so that they understand where we're at. We were 1 point per possession forever. Now it's like 1.2, 1.22 is what teams want to get to. I know it's all nerdy talk, but that's just like when you look at the game, it's our job as analysts to be able to explain to you guys what's changed and why things have changed and why a play works and so forth. So you definitely look at the game differently. And then the other side of it that I enjoy that we try to do, and it's TV and radio are a little different. And I'm so fortunate to sit next to you, Matt, because you do a great job of telling the story. Like, I'm a firm believer, our time is done. Like, we played, we're done, though. It's time to tell the stories of the kids and the players that are out there now. Like, nobody cares what I'm doing anymore. Nobody cared that we, won championships. They care about the next group. So let's tell the story about the next group. Let's put those kids on pedestals. Let's raise them up. Let's elevate their levels. And let's have them, have a great time like we did. And I think that's my biggest thing right now in the role that I get to do with you is we get to talk about these kids. And yes, NIL, whatever, remove that. Like, it's going to come back a little bit normal. They're not going to make as much of it. But that's just where we're at. Don't look at the kids differently because they're making some money. There's still 18 to 22-year-olds that are still trying to figure out what they're doing. We were all 18 to 22. Nobody knows what we were doing at that point. Well, we shouldn't have done half the stuff we were doing. But that being said, we're still trying to figure out, those kids are still trying to figure it out, and they got great stories to tell. And that's our job to tell those stories and get that out to you guys. So.
No, we're going to reenact your three-point shot that you banked in next time we go down to Bloomington. We will do that. Sam, you're still playing, and I know you watch a lot of basketball, you watch a lot of baseball. You could be a baseball analyst, I think, too. As could Ben, by the way. He's given the batting order to the Seattle Mariners over there. I had no idea that he's such a baseball guy. But Sam, are there analysts out there in particular who you like to listen to, if it's whatever the sport, but basketball, I guess, most notably, and things that you'll pick up when your time comes to be courtside?
I don't know if am I taking a job right now?
Well, you never know.
No,
you're not done playing yet, but when you're done.
No, one thing I like to do, I do like listening to what I'm watching. I think you're one of the best. I think we can all say I don't think there's another college that has a guy like you to listen to every day. So it's,
Thank you, sir.
You've made a lot of our moments cooler because of the way you talk about us, but
just buttering you up before he takes the
take
job.
I guess, yeah.
No,
New voice of the Badgers, Sam Dekker.
Yeah,
everybody.
hey guys.
All right.
No, there's a lot of good ones out there. Everyone loves listening to, Kevin's partner Reggie and Chris Webber. These guys have particular insights. Actually, he's a coach right now for the Milwaukee Bucks, but Doc Rivers, I think, always was one of the best, that he actually gave nuance to the game, and I think that's missing, especially on the basketball side and the professional side, where it's a lot of hot takes instead of actually giving, like Brian said, giving these guys, the proper credit for what they're doing and be able to play this very difficult sport at a very high level. From the couch, anything looks easy. I'll watch film of my own games, and I'll be like, I could have done that, could have done that, could have done that. And then you get out there and you see how fast it is and how unique the sport is. And I think it gives you a different perspective when you have played. So. I try to take things from people, but I'm not at that point yet. I'm still trying to improve my game on the court, and hopefully I don't have analysts bashing me. So, but a lot of times when I watch my film now, it's in languages I don't understand, so it's okay for me. They just go, oh, so I think that means good. So, yeah.
Devin, with the work with the Mavericks, and you've done some college games as well, do you look at the NBA game with more critical eyes than you would a college game?
Well, the 2 college games that I called, they didn't bring me to you guys. It was Minnesota and Iowa, and I gotta say, I hate those gyms. They're not for me. And I was fairly new to the sport from a college standpoint, so the games are very, very different. I use it as a learning curve, but obviously the NBA is what I've known for the last 20 years. That comes more natural. I think I'm going to be doing more college next year, so hopefully I'll be in the building a little bit more. But it's a different sport. The moves are different. The players are different. The game, the way it's played, is very different. And as you know, with the NIL and the transfer, you thought free agency was crazy. As I'm trying to prepare for college, I'm literally looking. I'm like, okay, this player was here last year. Now he's here. And I'm in shoot around, literally trying to line up guys' numbers with names because they change so much. And just the work that goes into college because of that is a lot more. So that's why I tend to stay towards the NBA a little bit more, just because that bulk of work and work-life balance for me is a little bit easier. But I am excited to come back and call a game at the Kohl Center, so hopefully that can happen soon.
Yeah, it does take some getting used to. It's free agency every year now.
Yes.
For
Yes,
college athletes. Sports betting, we've talked about how the business has evolved, some good, some not so good. Sam, there's a lot of hot take stuff. How much, if at all, I know Ben, Butchie, you guys do radio shows 5 days a week, but you've also been game announcers too. Jordan, you chime in as well. Are you allowed to even address it if you're in a studio, if you're like Brent Musburger was known for, like, somebody cares about this last possession, even though the team is ahead by 40. How does that work?
I'm so glad you mentioned that because it was Jordan's senior year. We were playing the Big Ten ACC Challenge.
You about to snitch? Don't do
No. This has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. I promise. I hit a half-court shot that was meaningless to me. We were down 6, and we lost by 3. And I turned my phone off after losses when we would fly because I just wanted to decompress and not, look at anybody that texted me after the game or anything negative. Sometimes, you see stuff or you go on Twitter or whatever, someone tweets you. Just wanted to get away from it. And the plane landed in Madison. I turned my phone on, and I had about 50 to 100 texts of, dude, you covered the spread for me, or dude, I hate you, why'd you hit that? And I didn't know what the hell that meant. And then I came to find out when I was overseas in Lithuania, too much time to think, someone goes, dude, you were 5-0 against the spread your senior year. And I was like, I don't know what that means either. All I know is we lost to Kentucky, but we covered the spread because they were -2 and we lost by 1. And so it opened up a whole new world for me where I love it. I'm happy to not be on the broadcast because I would break rules.
So there's a difference. When you're calling games, you don't really talk about it. Like, we never talk about it. I don't talk about it on TV.
Tauscher does with football.
Occasionally. Depends what kind of game it is.
Yes.
And occasionally I'll get lost on scoreboards and I'll go there, but that's a whole different story. But as far as like morning radio show, yeah, we talk about it. I mean, it definitely comes up in that conversation because it's a 3-hour radio show. I always say there's a radio Butchie as far as like everyday radio, and then there's a game analyst. The game analyst is a little bit more polished than the radio guy. The radio we're there to have fun. We're there to entertain. I've always said this: if you're going to give me 3 hours, if you're going to waste your time listening to me for 3 hours, we better have some fun doing it at least. So that's why it's a little bit of a different media as far as how I approach it and what I do. I want to be more professional when I'm talking about games. and handling my business that way. A little bit more goofy in the mornings.
So you all played for Coach Ryan. I don't think you've ever broadcasted. Well, obviously you didn't. If Bo decided to come out of retirement and go coach, and you were going to go work a game, how would you go about part of the game preparation? You know, you interview players, you talk to the coach. How would you deal with Coach Ryan as an interviewer? And don't ask me, I never figured it out.
Jordan?
Whoever wants that.
Ben was talking.
No. You said, how would we interview him?
Yes.
Or how would
go
we?
about it?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question.
It's funny because I feel like interview is different than covering, right?
How's Sam's
Hold
defense?
on. Someone said we're scared down there. We ain't scared. Look.
No. Never. No.
Sam just got the courage to talk back to Bo the other day, so we're not scared anymore. We're not scared.
True. What do you think, Dev?
I would start with, to soften them up, tell me about these stories back in the 60s, right? Let them go off on that little tangent. Back in 1913, when I was coaching, like, Chester, PA, and all these things, and so that soften them up. Then we go to more strategy. All right, coach, what you thinking with this team? Well, I got Sam Dekker. He doesn't listen to me, and he doesn't play defense, and you get that stuff out of me. Jordan Taylor, he's one of the smartest guys I've ever had. I mean, just really got a nice head on his shoulders. Brian Butch, defensively, I don't know what he does out there. I mean, Charlie Wills, one of the toughest guys I had. He really leads the bunch. And Devin, that's why I got the house.
Anybody want to try to match or top that?
I'll just say this, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of us have at least gotten a text from him during a game, though, that we've been calling. At least. At least we've gotten a text. Hey, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? And you're calling a game, and you're going to see Coach Ryan come across the phone like, all right, let's see what this is during a timeout. Okay, good. All right.
You're not going to give me credit for that?
You've heard that once or twice, haven't you, Brian? Yes, Coach. I said, I'm repeating what you taught me. Yes. But for sure, there's only one. Sam, you haven't experienced that yet. You start calling games, you will.
No, I played.
will.
I played with Jordan for the last 2 years of his career. 2 of the most fun years I've ever had as a player, just because I never got to play with him here. I was in high school watching him. He was an All-American, and he actually. My official visit to Wisconsin, he was my host. And first shot of alcohol I ever took in my life. And
he gave me the worst shot. My first shot ever, there was Tabasco sauce.
Okay, anyways. But we'd be in practice, and there'd be things that weren't getting done properly in practice. And one day I went up to Jordan and said, I used to not want to get away from Bo fast enough. Now I'm turning into him because I used to be so mad at the things that he would get on me for, and now I'm getting mad at my teammates for not being efficient, doing this or doing that, and I'm using the same phrases. Get 3 out of that. Using the phrases that he would use, and now he was right. He was ahead of the curve on all this analytics and your efficiencies and doing the little things and adding this, that, and the other that they're drilled into you so much that now they become part of your basketball jargon. And, credit to him. He instilled it in all of us, and it did a lot of good for our careers. So,
I think it took 2.5 years for me to watch a basketball game without Coach Ryan's voice in my head. And so, every time something like you said, what the Jordan?
Hey, do you know those binders we had from film? We got these, end of the year, it's 300 pages, these big binders from film. And it's in my dad's basement. He has all my old Wisconsin stuff. And I was flipping through it the other day. We were over there for dinner. And you'd take notes. You'd take notes after your film sessions, after the game. So you'd have say it's Michigan State. You had to write down what you did wrong or your clips. And one of them was just in quotes, because I think I got sick of writing. Just in quotes, it said, Sam, why? That was my only game notes. So must not have gone well.
So one of the things when, again, Bo and I would talk about this when other guys would be on BTN, back 20 years ago from another Big Ten school. It always managed to, get in a little pump up for Michigan State, Indiana, whatever. Do you guys, Butchie, Jordan especially, do you have to remind folks, because obviously this past year they scored a lot of points, about 80 points a game. You got to remind the viewers that y'all scored some points too. Sam was part of the most efficient offense in the Ken Pomeroy era. That's kind of a basketball nerdy thing, but they were really good. They were at a possession, they were going to put points up. Do you feel like you got to maybe remind the folks of that a little bit? Y'all put some points up too?
Honestly, I would think it goes into what Butch said earlier about, you just try and, I think we know what we did. Coach Ryan's got a ring to celebrate his accomplishments and everything that he did, so it's more about celebrating, what Coach Gard and what these new guys are doing, right? And it's like Butch said, a lot of it is swing principles in the terms of touching the paint. So I think you pay homage in that regard of the philosophy hasn't changed. It just looks a little bit different, and try and stay away from the fact, like I said, my back, it's gonna hurt when I stand up, my back and all that, it's over for us. So trying to celebrate this next generation.
But I do think you bring up a little bit that it's been the success of Wisconsin basketball has been how long, right? Like it's year after year. It's the expectations of how that goes. And has Greg changed a little bit? Yeah, but the concepts are still there. And I think that's what you try to get through. Now you can't do that in an Iowa game or a Minnesota game, but thankfully I had a chance to call a lot of non-conference Wisconsin games. Had 3 or 4 of them here. And at that point, that's when you do. Like one of the things that BTN tells us is, it's like 90% you talk about the Big Ten team during non-conference play, 10% you can mention the non-conference team. It's the non-conference teams, they're not paying the money. They're not why people are tuning into the Big Ten Network or FS1. They're tuning in to make sure they see Wisconsin or they see Iowa or Minnesota or whatever team that is. So you shade your broadcast a little bit more. And early on in the season, non-conference play especially, you go a little bit more story heavy. So you can get it in because on TV you can, because you guys can see the game. Radio, my job is to stay out of his way. Like, just let him do what he does, and I'm occasionally going to say, great shot. So, and when we do that, it's good.
He hits me a lot. Anytime a big guy hits a three,
I do.
I get this.
He does.
So,
yeah.
I do get that.
I thought I was going to rip your arm off the BYU game. I don't know why I was so emotional that game, but I think it was just one of those, like, can we just find a way to get through this thing? I don't get that upset after games. I was pissed. And that doesn't happen a lot. So it's one of those. So.
One thing I'll say, I'll disagree with these guys a little bit. I get what you're saying about, the current team, let them have their time, their moment. But to be honest, and I know it's a work night, I guess, I think you all could probably listen to these stories, especially if we went into Bo's stories all night long. I mean, 7,306 points are on this stage to my left as Wisconsin Badgers. If my math is right, it's my off season, but I'm pretty sure 7,306 points these guys combined to score. And Big Ten championships and NCAA tournaments and deep runs and Final Fours, and yet it's the stories off the floor, it's the teaching clips, right, all of that. That's these guys, they pick up right where they left off. So I can't thank you guys enough for being here tonight. And you gave this old guy a lot of practice into a lot of great moments to describe. You guys are awesome basketball players, even better people. So
thank you, man.
Bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.